have you heard of Meatless Mondays? Well, during these times, it's been more scarce to find meat at your local grocery stores. And they're also limiting your intake on your meat packages that you can take out. Now it's down to one package per store, per customer. So let me go over a couple of things. I know I mentioned during my chicken breakdown that lentils were a good resource of fillers, and I actually found a bag of lentils. They were only $1.25 at my grocery store. And today we're actually going to make a mock chicken Parmesan using lentils. And the lentils are packed. I mean, super packed with vitamin B. So it's a great source of getting your vitamin B. So I'll just give you a hint of what we did here. This is 1 cup of the lentils. And it actually turns out, once you've cooked them for 20 minutes, it turns into 2.5 cups of lentils. So you're actually doubling your size of your lentils. And I still have a cup, so it makes another meal, right? Can't go wrong for $1.25. I also found that there were some stewed tomatoes at my grocer. I couldn't find any sauce. However, they are, once they're restocking, they are limiting your pasta sauce to 2 cans as well. So what I did is I went ahead and blended up those stewed tomatoes in a blender. I found 1 can of tomato paste, so I'm going to add a little bit of the tomato paste to my sauce and to my mock chicken Parmesan. So let's get started here. Oh, I did forget my 1 egg here. I'm going to go ahead and put 1 egg in here as well. I'm not sure if you know too much about the eggs and the protein, but if you do eat 4 eggs a day, either for breakfast, snack, or your dinners, 4 eggs equals 1 entire chicken breast. And they also, once date of purchase of your eggs, they actually last about 5 weeks in the fridge. So go ahead and do that. I also had some mozzarella cheese I brought up earlier in the week that I told you that I had, in my fridge, in my freezer. Had a bunch of that stuff. I did find some garlic. So I went ahead and roasted. I had a garlic we'll use in our sauce. And again, we'll use it in our mock chicken Parmesan. I have 2 onions that I'm going to go ahead and put in my sauce. Put that on low today and let that cook like you normally would. I have 1 cup of breadcrumbs. I had some fresh parsley. I have some basil. I have some dried onion, dried garlic powder, onion powder, and the parsley, right? And dried chives. So we're going to add all this mixture into our food processor. Let me grab a spoon here. Oh. Don't waste. And I put these, I boiled these in 2 cups of chicken broth using a couple chicken bouillons I had to give it a little extra flavor. We'll go ahead and pick that mess up in a minute here. Oh, look at that. So now I'm just going to go ahead and add my egg in there. Always safe to be cracking your egg in something different for you don't get the shell in it. So I'll add a couple little drizzle of olive oil we'll add in there. What we're going to do with these are, we're going to actually make these into, patties later, and then we're going to fry them on both sides for 5 minutes, 5 minutes each, and then I'm going to stick them in the oven, use some of my homemade sauce, put that over it with some of the mozzarella, stick it in the oven for about 15-20 minutes, and we'll have some mock chicken Parmesan. So let me go ahead and get this blended up and made into patties, and I'll be right back. So I got my patties done, so I wanted to have you guys all check this out. So I got 6 patties that we're going to use for our mock chicken Parmesan with that mixture that we just made. And we're going to fry them on each side for about 5 minutes. Again, I'm going to stick those in the oven for about 15 minutes on 350 with some of the semi-homemade sauce that we got from that stewed tomatoes that I found at the market. And I added a few seasonings in there as well, on the onion and the garlic. So let's go ahead and just get a couple of these fried up before I can show you. Oh, and I realized that, you know, we're actually working with ABCs today. The garlic has vitamin A in it as well as vitamin B. And of course your sauce, you got your vitamin C's, and your lentils are packed, a super powerhouse packed with vitamin B. So let me just give you a little look-see of what we got. You could actually use these a substitute for actually hamburger patties too, to make some hamburgers, cheeseburgers, meatballs. You can actually put these in sauce after you've baked them. So it's a pretty versatile recipe. Let me see if I can get a good look on there. So let me go ahead. I sprayed my pan with a little bit of vegetable oil. So I'm just going to go ahead and put these guys in there. Don't forget the most important part of the day. Just breathe. If you're lucky enough to have the sun shining out there today, grab some of that vitamin D. We can actually do the ABCs at ease. I do know my ABCs. So we'll just get those guys here, and I'll give you an idea of what that looks like. So we got our patties, just as you would be putting your chicken in here. And boy, do I have a freaking ton of sauce just from those 3 cans of stewed tomatoes and that 1 can of tomato paste. So I'm not going to be using a whole lot of it here today in this recipe. So I'll probably go ahead and freeze some of that, and maybe keep some out in the fridge and use it later in the week for another recipe. That's a lot of sauce. I'll probably use about 1 spoonful each on each of my patties here. If you were lucky enough to find pasta, I also noticed there wasn't a lot of pasta on the shelves. Actually, very little. If you're not a health nut, there are actually options out there that people aren't picking up, like the whole wheat pasta. That's kind of still on the shelves, so don't be afraid to try some new things. There we go. I'll add a handful of little mats on tops of these. Later during the week, if you're fortunate enough to get a bag of flour, there's a limit on those as well. Unfortunately, there's a limit on almost everything right now. So if you were fortunate to get a bag of flour, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick lesson on making some homemade pasta later on this week. So I just want to show you our mac chicken parmesans. We're going to stick these in the oven 350 for the next 15 to 20 minutes. And I'll be back. So here we are, folks. This is our mac chicken parmesan that we're going to be having today. I did actually have a little pasta, so I'm going to have a little pasta on the side. Just take a look at those. 2 pretty healthy portions. You know, you got, again, you know, eating your way through the rainbow, if you guys caught that series. If you guys caught that series of Eating Your Way Through the Rainbow, that also goes over a bunch of vitamins. So after I'm done here, I'm going to actually go catch that vitamin D, like I said. And just keep in mind, you know, there were people that weren't pretty well off before all this started going down. So keep that in mind when you go into the store and you're buying those extra items. Maybe you don't need those extra items. Keep one behind. You know, there were people that were already at the poverty level as it was. And now we're looking at, you know, people without jobs, and we're looking at people running scared because they didn't go into the panic buying. Okay, so just please, please think of your community, think of the single moms, you know, think of anybody out there, the seniors that are only getting that 1 hour shopping time. And believe it or not, that 1 hour in the morning, I don't know many seniors getting up at 5 o'clock just to beat the doors at 6 a.m. So here we go with our chicken parmesan. Mac chicken parmesan.